As we step into a new year, one of the greatest challenges we face is the tension between faith and fear. Every new beginning carries uncertainty. We do not always know what lies ahead, and this can stir anxiety, doubt, and hesitation in our hearts. Yet it is precisely in these moments of uncertainty that faith becomes our anchor. Faith is not merely a passive belief. It is an active, living trust in God's promises, even when the road before us is unclear. Choosing faith over fear means making a deliberate decision to focus on what is possible rather than what is frightening. It is a declaration that we will not allow worry, doubt, or past failures to define our journey. Fear often whispers that we are not enough, that the challenges ahead are too great, and that the risks are too high. But faith reminds us that God is greater than any obstacle and that his power is made perfect in our weakness. When fear tries to convince us that the path is too difficult, faith speaks a different language. Faith says, I may not see the full picture, but I trust the one who holds the universe in his hands. It is faith that allows us to take the first step into the unknown, confident that God is already there, guiding, protecting, and providing for us every step of the way. Faith over fear also requires courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. When we embrace faith, we are choosing to act in alignment with God's plan, even when the outcomes are uncertain. This is how breakthroughs happen. This is how lives are transformed. Fear wants to keep us stagnant, to convince us that the familiar, even if it is unfulfilling, is safer than the unknown. But faith pushes us beyond our comfort zones, urging us to step into the fullness of the life God has prepared for us. Every act of obedience fueled by faith is a step away from fear and a step toward destiny. The power of faith over fear also changes the way we view challenges. Obstacles are no longer walls meant to stop us. They become opportunities for growth, lessons in perseverance, and reminders of God's faithfulness. When fear dominates, we see threats. When faith leads, we see opportunities. Faith transforms our perspective, helping us recognize that what may appear as a setback is often a setup for something greater. It is through faith that we find strength in weakness, hope in trials, and peace in chaos. Choosing faith over fear also impacts every area of our lives. It shapes our decisions, our relationships, our goals, and even our daily actions. Faith gives us clarity when uncertainty clouds our judgment, confidence when doubt tries to creep in, and resilience when challenges seem insurmountable. Each morning, when we wake with faith as our guiding principle, we are better equipped to navigate the twists and turns of life. We can approach difficulties not with hesitation or despair, but with trust that God's hand is upon us, directing, sustaining, and opening doors that no one else can close. Ultimately, faith over fear is a choice, a conscious, daily decision to believe that God's plan for our lives is greater than any obstacle or uncertainty. It is a refusal to let fear dictate our steps and an embrace of the possibilities that come when we trust him completely. When we walk in faith, we move with confidence, hope, and expectation, knowing that God is already working on our behalf, turning challenges into triumphs and dreams into reality. Living in God's light is not simply about seeing or believing. It is about allowing His presence to illuminate every part of your life, guiding your choices, shaping your perspective, and transforming the way you experience each day. To live in God's light is to step into clarity, hope, and purpose, leaving behind the shadows of doubt, fear, and confusion. When we begin the year with this mindset, we are not just wishing for blessings or hoping for positive outcomes. We are intentionally positioning ourselves to walk in alignment with God's will, allowing His wisdom, love, and guidance to permeate every decision, every relationship, and every action we take. Living in God's light brings clarity. Life can often feel chaotic with competing priorities, endless responsibilities, and unforeseen challenges. It is easy to become overwhelmed, distracted, or uncertain about which direction to take. But when we walk in God's light, we are able to see clearly. Our path becomes illuminated, not because the journey is without obstacles, but because His guidance cuts through the darkness. We gain discernment to distinguish between opportunities and distractions, wisdom to make choices that honor Him, and insight to understand the lessons hidden within life's challenges. Clarity allows us to move with confidence, knowing that each step is purposeful and divinely guided. Living in God's light also brings peace in a world that often seems chaotic, unpredictable, and full of pressure. God's light becomes a refuge. It reminds us that we are not alone, that our lives are not determined by circumstances, and that His presence is constant. When we align ourselves with His light, fear loses its grip, worry diminishes, and our hearts find rest. We can face uncertainty with a calm confidence, trusting that God's plan is greater than any obstacle we encounter. Peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the assurance that we are held, guided, and sustained by a power far greater than ourselves. Living in God's light transforms how we interact with the world. Our thoughts, words, and actions are shaped by His presence. When we are illuminated by His light, we naturally reflect love, kindness, and hope to those around us. We become beacons of encouragement and inspiration, showing others what it means to live with purpose, faith, and integrity. Our lives carry a testimony of God's faithfulness, demonstrating that even amidst trials, there is guidance, provision, and the possibility of transformation. Living in His light is not just personal, it has a ripple effect, influencing everyone we encounter. Living in God's light empowers us to overcome darkness. Challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt are inevitable, but they do not have to define us. When we keep our focus on God, His light exposes lies, dispels confusion, and strengthens our resolve. We are reminded that no circumstance is beyond His control, that no fear can overpower His presence, and that every trial is temporary. When we are grounded in His truth, the light of God transforms obstacles into opportunities, weakness into strength, and despair into hope. Living in God's light also inspires purpose. Each day becomes an opportunity to reflect His goodness, walk in His ways, and pursue the life He has designed for us. It encourages intentionality in our decisions, gratitude in our hearts, and boldness in our actions. When we live in alignment with His light, we are better equipped to respond to challenges, seize opportunities, and step confidently into the destiny He has prepared, we no longer drift aimlessly or react to life. We act with clarity, conviction, and faith. Ultimately, to live in God's light is to embrace His presence in every aspect of life. It is a conscious choice to step out of shadows, to release fear and doubt, and to allow His guidance, love, and wisdom to shape our journey. When we live in His light, we experience clarity, peace, strength, and purpose. Our steps are steady, our hearts are encouraged, and our lives reflect a brilliance that can only come from walking in alignment with God. Living in God's light is not just a way to start the year. It is a way to live every day empowered, inspired, and fully aligned with the destiny He has created for us. There is something extraordinary about beginnings. They carry a kind of energy that is both electrifying and comforting at the same time. January, as the first month of the year, is not just another date on the calendar. It is a symbol of hope, renewal, and the endless possibilities that lie ahead. It is a moment to pause, to reflect on the past, and to choose intentionally the path we want to walk in the coming days, weeks, and months. Every new beginning brings with it a fresh opportunity to align our lives with the purpose and a plan that God has already placed in our hearts. It is a chance to let go of the regrets and mistakes of yesterday and to step forward with faith and expectation. When you stand at the threshold of a new year, it is natural to feel a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. You may wonder what challenges will come, what dreams will be realized, or whether you will be able to navigate the unexpected twists of life. Yet, the power of a new beginning lies in the reminder that God's grace is always sufficient and that His plans for you are filled with hope. This is the time to embrace the blank pages before you, to envision the story you want to write, and to trust that each step taken with faith will bring you closer to the destiny God has prepared. New beginnings are not just about turning a page on the calendar. They are about turning a page in your soul. They are an invitation to reset your mind, your spirit, and your priorities. They encourage you to examine the areas of your life that may have been neglected or overshadowed by fear, doubt, or distraction. Perhaps there are dreams that have been lying dormant, waiting for the right season to awaken. Perhaps there are relationships that need restoration, habits that need refinement, or opportunities that need courage to pursue. January reminds us that it is never too late to start again, to seek God's guidance, and to step into the fullness of the life He intends for us. The beauty of new beginnings is that they come with freedom, freedom from past failures, freedom from limitations imposed by doubt, and freedom from the burden of yesterday's mistakes. God does not call us to remain stuck in the past. He calls us to move forward, to embrace growth, and to live in the promise of what is yet to come. This is why starting the year with God is so vital. When we invite Him into our new beginnings, we are not relying solely on our strength or wisdom. We are stepping into a path that has already been paved with divine guidance, protection, and provision. Every choice we make, every step we take, and every prayer we lift becomes a part of a journey that is larger than ourselves. New beginnings also remind us to approach life with intentionality, They challenge us to define what truly matters, to set our hearts on priorities that honor God, and to pursue goals that reflect our deepest values. Each morning of this new year is a gift, a chance to choose faith over fear, hope over despair, and action over hesitation. The power of January is not simply in the calendar itself, but in the mindset we carry, the faith we embrace, and the courage we summon to step into the unknown, trusting that God is already there, guiding every moment. In every new beginning, there is potential promise and purpose. It is an opportunity to start fresh, not by forgetting the past, but by learning from it and allowing God to write the next chapter of our lives. When we begin this year with intention, prayer, and faith, we open the door to transformation. We align ourselves with a future that is bright, blessed, and filled with endless possibilities, knowing that each day is a chance to move closer to the life we were created to live. Prayer is more than a ritual, more than words we speak into the air. It is the lifeline that connects us to the creator of the universe. It is the bridge between our human limitations and God's unlimited power. As we step into a new year, prayer becomes the compass that guides us, the anchor that steadies us, and the source of strength that equips us for the journey ahead. It is through prayer that we find clarity in confusion, peace in the midst of chaos, and confidence in the face of uncertainty. Without prayer, even the most carefully laid plans can feel empty, but with prayer, our steps are aligned with purpose and destiny. The beauty of prayer is that it is deeply personal, yet profoundly powerful. It is a conversation with the one who knows us completely, our thoughts, our desires, our fears, and our dreams. Prayer allows us to lay down our burdens, to unburden our hearts, and to invite God into every detail of our lives. It is not about impressing anyone or following a set formula. It is about sincerity, openness, and trust. When we pray, we are acknowledging that we cannot navigate life on our own and that we need guidance, provision, and protection from the one who holds all things together. Prayer also serves as a source of perspective. It reminds us that we are part of a larger story, that our struggles are not isolated, and that God is always at work. Even when we cannot see the outcome, when life feels overwhelming, when doubts threaten to paralyze us, prayer shifts our focus from the problems to the one who can solve them. It is in these quiet moments, whether spoken aloud or held in the silence of our hearts, that we discover the courage to face challenges, the wisdom to make decisions, and the strength to persevere. Another powerful aspect of prayer is that it shapes our mindset and aligns our will with God's. As we speak to God, we begin to understand His desires for our lives, His timing, and His plan. Prayer is not about convincing God to act. It is about opening our hearts to His guidance, listening for His voice, and stepping boldly into the path He has prepared. Each prayer is a step toward spiritual alignment, a step toward living intentionally, and a step toward experiencing the fullness of life that comes from walking in His purpose. Starting the year with prayer is especially vital because it sets the tone for everything that follows. It is a declaration that this year will not be left to chance, but will be lived with intention, faith, and hope. It is a recognition that God's wisdom is far greater than our understanding, that his provision exceeds our needs, and that his timing is perfect. When we make prayer the foundation of our year, we equip ourselves to handle trials with patience, to embrace opportunities with gratitude, and to approach every day with a sense of divine purpose. Prayer also strengthens our resilience. Life is unpredictable and challenges will inevitably arise, but prayer reminds us that we are not alone. It reinforces our faith, renews our hope, and empowers us to persevere even when circumstances seem impossible. Through prayer, we experience God's presence in tangible ways, receive guidance for our decisions, and find comfort in his promises. It is a continual reminder that no matter how heavy the burden, how daunting the task, or how uncertain the future, we have a constant source of strength in him. Ultimately, prayer is both a shield and a sword. It protects our hearts from fear and doubt while equipping us to face life with courage, clarity, and conviction. It is the practice that transforms ordinary days into moments of divine connection and ordinary challenges into opportunities for growth. By committing to prayer as we begin this new year, we open the door to God's wisdom, his peace, and his blessings, ensuring that our journey is guided not by chance, but by purpose and divine intention. Trust and obedience are two of the most powerful forces in a life that seeks to walk in alignment with God's purpose. They are not always easy. In fact, they often require us to step out of our comfort zones, to surrender control, and to move forward even when the path seems uncertain. Trust is the decision to believe that God is faithful, that his timing is perfect, and that his plan for your life is greater than anything you could imagine. Obedience is the action that follows trust, the willingness to act on that belief, even when it challenges our own understanding, desires, or fears. Together, trust and obedience form the foundation for a life of purpose, fulfillment, and divine alignment. Many times, we hesitate because we want to see the full picture before we move. We want assurance that everything will go smoothly, that the outcome is certain, and that our efforts will be rewarded immediately. But God often calls us to act before we see the way clearly. True trust is not dependent on our ability to predict the future. It is dependent on our confidence in the one who holds the future. Trust allows us to move forward with courage, knowing that even when circumstances seem unclear or challenges arise, we are not alone. God is guiding every step, preparing every opportunity, and turning every situation into a lesson, a blessing, or a breakthrough. Obedience is the practical expression of trust. It is what happens when we take the step we have been afraid to take, speak the words we have been hesitant to speak, or make the choice that requires faith rather than certainty. Obedience is often uncomfortable because it challenges us to prioritize God's will over our own desires or understanding. It requires humility, patience, and the willingness to let go of control. But the beauty of obedience is that it positions us to receive blessings we could never earn or achieve on our own. Every time we obey God, we create a space for his power to work in our lives in ways that surpass our imagination. Trust and obedience are also intertwined. Trust without obedience remains theoretical. It is faith in name only. Obedience without trust can become mechanical, lifeless, or burdensome. When we combine trust with obedience, however, our actions are infused with purpose, our steps are guided by wisdom, and our hearts remain anchored in hope. This combination allows us to face uncertainty with confidence, challenges with resilience, and opportunities with clarity. It enables us to walk boldly, knowing that God is leading, even when the path requires sacrifice or courage. When we live a life of trust and obedience, we experience freedom from fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. Trust reminds us that our worth and security are not based on our abilities or circumstances, but on God's faithfulness. Obedience reminds us that we do not have to rely solely on our understanding. We have access to divine guidance, provision, and protection. Together, they create a life of peace, purpose, and alignment with God's plan. Trust and obedience also transform challenges into opportunities. When we trust God and choose to obey His guidance, obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become stepping stones, setbacks become lessons, delays become preparation, and uncertainties become moments of growth. Trust teaches patience, obedience teaches discipline, and together they teach resilience. They help us recognize that life's difficulty are not punishments or random misfortunes, but opportunities for God's power and glory to be revealed through our faithfulness. Ultimately, trust and obedience are acts of surrender. They are decisions to release our grip on control, to step out in faith, and to allow God to work in and through us. They are commitments to align our will with His, our actions with His purposes, and our hearts with His promises. When we trust completely and obey faithfully, we open the door to transformation, divine favor, and fulfillment beyond what we could ever achieve on our own. A life rooted in trust and obedience is a life that walks confidently into destiny, empowered by faith, guided by purpose, and filled with God's blessings at every turn. Starting the year with intention is a powerful act of faith. It is more than just making resolutions or listing goals. It is a declaration of who you are, who you want to become, and how you will live in alignment with God's plan for your life. When we speak declarations over our year, we are not simply hoping for things to happen. We are inviting God into every area of our journey, setting a tone of purpose, expectation, and divine alignment. Every word we speak in faith carries weight, and when paired with prayer, it becomes a powerful tool that shapes our mindset, strengthens our resolve, and propels us forward with confidence. A declaration is a statement of belief. It is saying out loud what you want God to work in your life, acknowledging His power to bring it to pass. It is different from a wish. It is a confident affirmation that what God has promised is already in motion, even if you cannot see it yet. When you declare God's favor, His protection, His provision, and His guidance over your life, you are choosing faith over doubt, hope over fear, and action over hesitation. Each declaration becomes a spiritual marker, reminding you of your purpose and helping you remain steadfast when challenges arise. The act of declaring intentions also helps to focus the heart and mind. Life can be full of distractions, uncertainties, and competing voices, but when you intentionally declare your priorities, you are creating clarity. You are telling yourself and the universe that you will not be swayed by negativity, fear, or indecision. You are setting a standard for how you will respond to circumstances, how you will pursue your goals, and how you will honor God in all that you do. This focus is vital because without clear intention, it is easy to drift, to react to life rather than actively shape it, and to miss the opportunities God has placed before you. Declaration also builds faith. Every time you speak God's promises over your life, you reinforce your belief in His goodness, His timing, and His sovereignty. Even when obstacles appear, declarations remind you of the truth that God is bigger than your challenges, wiser than your doubts, and faithful to fulfill His promises. It is through repeated declaration that faith grows from a quiet hope into a bold confidence, empowering you to step into new opportunities, embrace change, and persevere with courage. Furthermore, declarations inspire action. They are not passive words, but catalysts for movement. When you declare that this will be a year of growth, abundance, healing, or success, you are aligning your thoughts, choices, and behaviors with that reality. You begin to act in ways that are consistent with your words, taking steps toward your goals, making decisions that reflect your intentions, and holding yourself accountable to the life you are calling into existence. Declarations become a guide, shaping not only your mindset, but your daily actions and habits. Declarations also have a ripple effect. When you speak positive intentions over your life, you inspire others to believe in their own potential and possibilities. Your faith-filled words become a testimony, a reminder that life can be lived with purpose and that God's hand is at work in the lives of those who trust Him. By declaring your intentions with clarity and conviction, you create an atmosphere of expectation, hope, and transformation, not only for yourself, but for those around you. In every declaration, there is power. There is power to shape your year, to strengthen your faith, and to align your life with God's promises. By intentionally speaking life, hope, and purpose into the months ahead, you set a foundation for growth, victory, and fulfillment. Declarations are a way of saying, this year is not by chance, it is guided, it is intentional, and it is blessed. They remind you that with God as your guide, every step you take can lead to transformation. Every challenge can become an opportunity, and every moment can be infused with purpose and meaning.